Okay, we're here
What's up, everyone?
at the Jupiter podcast. We don't formally have a name right now.
What do you
but-
call it usually?
Well, we have Jupe and Juice, and then we have like what we've been doing recently inside Jupiter, where we're showing team members and more like insider details. But this is more of a partner thing, right? So
Yes, of course. By the way, if you're not following Jupe and Juice, you're missing out on a lot. So follow Jupe and Juice on Twitter. Sax and the team are doing a great job.
that's very kind of you to say so.
Of course, man.
Appreciate you. Okay, so let's just jump straight in, right?
Go for it.
For those who may not know who you are and what you do at Meteora, can you give a brief introduction to yourself?
Hello, everyone. My name is Miir. I tell people to start LPing for a living. I just speak to so many people from so many different parts of the world, and I introduce people to LPing, which is basically short for liquidity provision. What that means is basically the underlying infrastructure of crypto. You know, you swap things like Sol, you swap into things like all your meme coins, all your stable, the stable assets and stuff like that. All of those things need liquidity. And Meteora basically kind of powers the financial infrastructure, the underlying infrastructure. And what it does is basically, Meteora is kind of the platform for you to become the market maker. So you can create new pools, you can put, a specific fee on it, and you can place your assets and make them work for you.
Okay.
And it's very cool because right now we're kind of empowering different people in different parts of the world. You can have LPs from Malaysia, from like where we are at right now. People from Indonesia, people from from France, from Turkey, from Nigeria, all just using Meteora and pretty much, just making their money work for them. So that's a pretty cool thing about Meteora. And where I stand is, I empower people. And one more thing is that LPing is like a very customizable, I say niche or something that you can, there's a lot of things that you deal with. Bin steps, fees, and different ranges that you work with.
Yeah.
There's a lot of customization and a lot of optimization to be made. So where I stand is, I help people, become better LPs so that they themselves can use their assets in a more effective way.
Okay, so you help people become better LPs. What have you found that some people like misunderstand fundamentally about LPing in DeFi?
Oh, where do I start?
Yeah.
Let me think about it. I wouldn't really say like it's a misconception, but a concept that a lot of people kind of get wrong is this thing called impermanent loss.
Yeah.
Impermanent loss basically means that the fact that you're managing two assets, right? One of the assets can go up, the other asset can also go up and down. Impermanent loss is one of the biggest reasons why people can also, even if the assets are going up, they can lose a bit of money or they can lose out on certain gains. Not so much a misconception, but a concept that people need to get very much right before they start, putting their capital on the line is impermanent loss.
Yeah.
And we cover that in great detail in things like, the LP Academy, in the bootcamp. So in case you're watching and, you're kind of new to LPing, go over to the bootcamp. Heavy Metal Cook, one of the rock stars of the LP army, he covers it very well. So check that out.
What would you say, like, when it comes to, why is liquidity so important, right? When price just explodes and things go crazy, because we've seen it happen and then there's not liquidity to like support those assets. So can you explain that to us a little bit?
There's this concept that I think a lot of us traders are very familiar with, which is called volatility. Volatility can appear to be a lot of things, right? It can mean like, the chart going crazy upwards, or it can go the same way, like the opposite side. It can mean the chart's like dumping down to zero. One of the reasons why that happens is because there's not enough liquidity to kind of cover that much of a price change. That's why liquidity is so important. And what we're doing with Meteora and what we're enabling the retail LPs to do is, typically what you see in the institutions, all of this liquidity is provided by the suits, the big guys.
Yeah.
With Meteora, anyone can provide the liquidity. So your liquidity is very useful. And, at the same time, providing deep liquidity prevents this kind of volatility, which can like kill charts, right? And, being able to have that opportunity, the same opportunities that the suits do back in like all the institutions, the same, having that opportunity to provide liquidity. And at the same time, it allows you to kind of earn some fees, but at the same time also power and also support some of the teams and the projects that you love and support as well. In giving them like deeper liquidity and managing different price levels, different price ranges for their tokens as well.
Okay.
So volatility is one of the most dangerous things for a chart, but at the same time, that's where LPs come in very, very handy.
I suppose that's where the money's made as well. Like if there's volatility up and down and you're well situated between those price ranges, that's where you're gonna make the most amount of money.
Is
that correct?
True. That is very much true specifically for Meteora.
Yeah.
So Meteora has this thing called dynamic fees, where on top of the base fees that you already charge. So what happens in pool creation, in position creation in Meteora is that people typically, in a lot of AMMs, they charge a base fee. So if people swap between different tokens and they route through your pool, you get that base fee. But if there is a lot of volatility happening, there's a lot of volume going on, and swaps route through your pool, Meteor actually has this thing called dynamic fees, which basically is additional fees based on the volatility of the market to kind of support the LPs that are putting their liquidity on the line for taking that risk, to serve a kind of volatile market. So dynamic fees, it is something that is very much appreciated by all of our LPs, and it's very much true for Meteora.
Okay, I want to take it back to, let's go into the lore a little bit of Meteora and into the story, right? I want to take it back super far, before it even begun, right? And it began, but it was Mercurial back then, right? And of course we had the FTX crash.
Yes.
And the FTX crash exposed a lot of things, especially like liquidity, on the liquidity side of things, right?
Correct.
What did it expose in terms of the lack of liquidity there was available in DeFi?
It is. I think this is something Zen said very well. What it meant for Mercurial specifically is it was a moment of rebirth for DeFi, because as much as there was a lack of liquidity, or rather, actually, during the time of FTX, I would say the market was doing slightly better, I think.
I mean, in the time of FTX, the market was doing, I think it was just off the back of, what was it again? The stable coin that collapsed. It was
UST.
Docondo.
The UST. It was Terra Luna.
Yeah.
That entire incident happened as well.
And like that had happened, and then obviously we were like moving away from that.
Yes.
And then out of nowhere, FTX.
Yes.
And
FTX,
then of course everyone starts pulling funds, and things go crazy.
Correct. It did. I think it was a very big case of what do you call it? Something like a bank run of sorts, where people just pull liquidity out.
Yeah.
Even though I would say the amount of liquidity at that point was fairly growing. We were kind of in the bit. We were kind of coming off from the peak of the bull market.
Yeah.
And Solana was doing very well. But the fact that people just could instantly pull out their funds like that, I say would be a very dangerous thing for for a lot of DeFi, for DeFi in general, and also for teams like Mercurial, where the main focus is having retail LPs park their funds into different markets and power different markets. I think it's more of a natural correlation. It's a natural causation of FTX happening, and also coming off the back of other things like UST and
compounding,
the big compounding effects that already caused a lot of people to pull out of DeFi. FTX was another incident that affected Mercurial, that fairly affected Mercurial to a very big extent.
Okay, and so there was hard decisions made. You guys had to basically terminate operations at the time, but you kept a promise, right? Like you said, we'll make good on this. We'll be back. And
yes, it was more of a kind of a rebrand of sorts.
Yeah. Okay, so you rebrand the rebirth basically.
The rebirth, as Zen mentioned very well, it was a moment of rebirth, and that was pretty much how Mercurial pretty much turned into the thing that everybody uses today. Meteora.
But you didn't forget about those users. Maybe some of them may have been partially affected. maybe some of them, may have even walked away from the space because these things happen, right?
Yep.
But you guys kept good on your promise and made sure to look after them all.
Yeah, it's very funny because there were a lot of people who were active users of Mercurial as well, and they were, like throughout the TGE period, as we were addressing many different stakeholders, the Mercurial stakeholders, and other stakeholders as well, and our LP like user segment as well. A lot of people, particularly from the Mercurial segment, they were all like, it's great that you guys never forgot, because Mercurial was running since like 2021.
Wow.
Some time ago.
Yeah.
And there was quite a number of those people who were using Meteora or Mercurial back then, and were still actively LPing and making use of like Meteor's liquidity pools, and them saying like, hey, it's a great thing that you guys have done here. We're addressing all of our different stakeholders. I think that was one of the main things that we really wanted to focus on for TGE. Different stakeholders, different interests, but the main focus for TGE, uniting every single one of them, and now just having one unified LP army.
Nice. And then you decide to move forward without VC funding, right? So you guys have built without that. Did that change anything or make you build in any other way? Like, what was the thinking behind that? Why not have funding from VCs?
Meteora, and I think Soju does this. Soju phrased this in a like fairly eloquently.
Yeah.
Meteor has already, made. We have revenue.
Yes.
We have a solid runway for us to continue building without having to include that in the TGE.
Yeah.
So there was no need for VC funding. We had runway to kind of continue iterating on the product.
Yeah.
But at the same time, our main focus was, and we also called this, we called the TGE event also a liquidity generation event. So what that meant is the TGE also served as a very big message for Meteora to show you how Meteora works. So it wasn't just about, of course it was about addressing all of the different stakeholders and, giving them the recognition they deserve with the TGE, but at the same time showing them the power of Meteor's liquidity pools. A lot of the folks during TGE, you had the option to choose to claim your airdrop in the form of a dynamic AMM V2 position. So what that meant is people can claim their NFTs, they can claim their airdrop in the form of a liquidity position, and at the time when MET goes live, they can start earning fees straight away. So one of the other kind of focuses for us was to make sure to show people that this is the power of Meteor's liquidity pools. This is the kind of thing that you can do. You can have an airdrop of like $100, right? And claiming and like using Meteor's LP technology, you can pretty much have that $100, claim it, and grow that money into like $110, $112, like in a super short amount of time. So there were different focuses for us for TGE. So in terms of like VC funding, that wasn't a part of the main focus. It was we were much more focused on, number one, aligning the community, and number two, showing people the power of liquidity pools.
I think, it was like a mass educational event in a way, because a lot of people didn't have a clue how this worked and functioned, and then they were like almost invited in to experience it, right?
Absolutely.
And it was really good. And you guys do that well, right? You do education well. So let's talk about that a little bit. You have the LP Army, you've mentioned them a few times. How important is it to have that core, like the LP Army in a community who's well educated on what you do, what you provide? Tell us a little bit about that.
Hell yeah. Shout out to the LP Army, by the way. I love them so much. And a lot of them are here at Kuala Lumpur as well. I think having the LP Army as to serve as like the educational engine for LPing is so important, because you see a lot of other platforms, you can kind of just park your liquidity and just let it stay there. But in Meteor, it's a lot of like smart LPing that's taking place. You can use your liquidity in a much more optimized manner. And that means you can earn a lot more in terms of making your money work for you in terms of LPing, right? And having all of these people, having these experts who understand what the meta is, or maybe like, they've had a lot of trading experience, and they also know very well how impermanent loss works, how to operate between bin steps and base fees and stuff like that. There's a lot of different aspects that come into play when it comes to finding an optimal strategy for LPing on Meteora, and having this base foundation of people, of experts, and at the same time also educational resources. We've got the academy, we've got the bootcamp that covers all of the basic concepts, and it basically turns any LP from 0 to 1 to 10 to 100. Our focus for Meteora is always not just getting people started on LPing, but also making them better LPs. So education is super, super important for us, because the more you know these strategies well, the more you can apply them to certain situations, the more money you can earn as an LP as well. And one thing that I really keep saying a lot, one thing that I continue stressing on is that anyone can become an LP. We've seen it like come into play. We've seen it in real life situations. We see a lot of LPs in different parts of the world who, have their own amazing strategies. LPs, or rather the LP army, is a community of people that want everyone to win.
Yeah.
People teach each other their strategies. It's a positive EV thing, because when more people pool the liquidity together, swaps route to the pool a lot more people LP, more people win. So that's the reason why community is so important, and at the same time education as well is so important, so that we achieve two things. Number one, we get more LPs, and number two, more LPs can make more money.
Yeah.
So it's super amazing thing.
How much of it would you say is community driven now? Because obviously you guys created the infrastructure and stuff,
yep.
and then you supported them, you educated them, and people like Heavy Metal Cook, like you mentioned.
Shout out Heavy HMC.
Yeah, doing the the boot camps and things like that. How much of it would you say is community driven now?
At the very start,
Yeah.
I think it was fairly hard to bootstrap the kind of LPing. It was hard to bootstrap the initial kickoff of the LP army, because it very much meant having people kind of risk their own funds to teach other people as well. But it has grown to a point where we've laid out the foundations. People like Heavy Metal Cook, as you mentioned, he's kind of created the base concepts all in the form of a bootcamp, and then we've done things like live streams, and a lot of people, shout out CrimeXBT for live streaming every day.
Yeah.
Lots of people in the LP army really pushing out educational content in their own ways, in their own forms. It's super important to have an initial group of people to also push that mission forward with you, to drive LPing into every corner of the world, and to push them into every page, to push them into as many Web3 communities as possible. And so at the start it was fairly hard, but I think we've built a full foundation, a great foundation, and the bootcamp has actually kind of resulted in a number of notable graduates that have continued past the bootcamp to do more LPing, and then to also guide the next wave of LPs. And fast forward to this year, we have this thing called lparmy.com. There's a lot of educational resources. There's also kind of a social feed that has a lot of the experts sharing the strategies on the page. That entire page, 100% community driven.
Wow.
Incredible. And so right now we've kind of garnered this first wave of experts, and this first wave continue to educate the next wave of LPs. We're seeing this trend of the first wave of LPs educating the next wave and continuing to educate even more LPs and so on. So it's super incredible to see how much progress we've made.
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice that they're becoming profitable, and they're wanting others to become profitable as well.
It's amazing.
Sharing that knowledge. And then you've got the power users as well, right? Can you tell us some stories, maybe some crazy P&Ls that have come from those power users specifically?
Power users are really power users for a reason, especially for LPs. There were some situations where, we recently, not very recently, but sometime in mid-2025, we launched a new kind of liquidity pool called Dynamic MMV2, which a lot of people are using right now, but that has also resulted in a number of insane situations where, if I'm not wrong, there's people like Sats Monks. He turned one soul into $20,000 in a matter of seconds.
I think I saw that on the timeline actually.
Not hours, not minutes, but in seconds. And how that works is because Dynamic MM v2 is powered by one of the additional tech stacks in Meteora called the Anti-Sniper Suite. That's powering Dynamic MM v2. And we have this thing called the fee scheduler that was running, and you can create pools with the fee scheduler running. It's an anti-sniper feature, which means that you charge additional fees only at the first few seconds of the pool being live. There's a lot of things like sniper bots and all of these bots that are coming into play with new launches, right? So like having things like the anti-sniper suite, that's a good way to kind of counteract these kind of bot activities, which also kind of evens the playing ground for retail users. And at the same time, what LPs can do is they've found this amazing way to create new pools, and at the right time and at the right place, that's what happens. Like an insane amount of volume can surge in a short amount of time, and LPs that have created that pool, they can just all of the swaps and all of the volume can route through their pool, and that results in the insane amount of fees that they can get. So one example was Satsmonks turning like 1 Sol to 20k. There were a lot of other situations as well for Dynamic AMM v2, but I think for DLMM as well, a lot of our experts pretty much have turned like I'm going to give a shout out to Mario as well. Mario is one of the LP Army leads, and he pretty much had the first Juke airdrop.
Yes,
he had one of like the base tier airdrops, which is like about $500 at that time. He used that airdrop and pretty much went to Meteora, started LPing, and because of like the strategies that he followed, he turned $500 into about 6 figures.
Jeez.
Ridiculous achievements by all of these LPs.
On-chain finance, man.
On-chain finance, baby.
Honestly, I can't think of any way you could do that with like such little friction as well, right? Like for someone to be able to get an airdrop, so he never, like that's money that he got in terms of the airdrop.
Exactly.
And he's been able to flip that up to 6 figures LPing.
So if you really think about it, he started off with nothing.
Yeah.
He started off from nothing and pretty much just went up all the way to 6 figures. Of course, he had like strategies that have went his way, and he's learned a lot like along the way. But of course, also I just want to say that it's not the easiest thing to just like flip from like 500 to all the way to 6 figures. But having a good strategy and being able to, and this is one of the things that I just want to say, LPing and trading. I think a lot of people also say that LPing is very much like trading. You can kind of say that, but the strategies that you use are kind of different. In trading, a lot of people are trying to catch early trends, and they're trying to catch like a 5x, trying to flip a 10x. But when it comes to LPing, you're not chasing like price going up. You're chasing volume. So it's a much more kind of systematic way for you to look into pools that are in high volume and then earn a bunch of fees from it, instead of kind of a lot of people say this, kind of hyper gambling your way to the next 100x. So LPing, that's kind of like what I just wanted to say is the strategies that you use for LPing is much more systematic. It's less kind of like a gambling kind of thing, as compared to just in general trading or prediction markets and stuff like that.
Okay, I've got some quick fire questions, right? I'll say the sentence and you finish it basically, right? With a very short answer. Wow. Okay. So the biggest mistake new LPers make is
impermanent loss.
Okay. Volatility punishes people who
Volatility punishes people who don't LP.
And volatility rewards people who
LP.
And the worst advice in DeFi you've heard before?
The worst advice I've heard in DeFi.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Oh, I know. The worst advice I've heard in DeFi: go all in.
Yeah.
Never do that.
That's so true.
Never do that.
Yeah, that's so true. Okay. Before we wrap up, I just want to touch on like Web 4, right? We're here, we're at Kuala Lumpur. Most people won't even know that unless they've heard the stage and the noise coming through the mic.
You can probably hear it like sometime in post-production or something.
Yeah, it's literally happening right now.
Exactly.
So, Meow's been talking about the grand vision of Web 4 and like making things super simple, super frictionless and easy for everyone, the world, right? The creation of monies. And so, you know, removing that friction, unifying markets, making DeFi accessible to everyone. Where does liquidity fit into that?
Everything.
Yeah.
Everything. Miao talks about social monies, right? We're heading into an age where any group can just, you know, create a token. Any group can create a digital currency, and, you know, it's similar to what we're seeing in different countries. Different countries have their own currencies, and we're heading to an age in Web 4 where soon different groups, different like tribes of people are just going to have their own currencies. And we see that a lot playing out, right? People who are, you know, aping into things like a lot of the meme coins that we see at the moment. And the question is, where does liquidity fall into that? Especially decentralized liquidity is going to play such a pivotal role in powering this new age of Web 4 and this new kind of wave of assets that are coming in. You already see it coming into play. All of the kind of different meme coins that you see, or all of the different like real world assets, all of these different assets that you see, they are all being powered by an underlying layer of liquidity. And we are seeing an increased trend where more of these newer assets are not just being powered by, you know, institutional liquidity, but they're also being powered by retail liquidity. So if you really think about it, Web 4 is kind of an age where retail is creating their own currencies, but retail is also powering the currencies with liquidity. So Meteora is very aligned in the whole Web 4 kind of thought process. And heading into Web 4, Meteora is also going to we're gonna work and make it much easier for retail liquidities to power pretty much the future of internet markets, internet capital markets, as they all say it. And it's very, very important. Liquidity is incredibly important, and the role of the retail, I call it retail market maker. The role of the retail liquidity provider is so important, because we are now going to break down all of the walls of traditional finance that you see, and anyone with a phone and an internet connection will be able to kind of become a retail market maker, and it's so incredible to see. And so we're super aligned on that.
So it literally couldn't even happen without you guys, basically.
Exactly.
There you go.
Exactly.
That's the future.
That's the future of liquidity provision.
Okay. Well, thank you, sir.
I
appreciate you.
Appreciate you
as well. It was a good conversation.
It was.
And we'll speak again, and I'm sure we'll cross paths on this journey to Web 4.
Absolutely. And hopefully the next time I come on, I will have a beard as nice as Sax. I've been struggling to grow one, but it's fine.
All right.
Take care, guys.